So today I am super excited. RuthAnn and I are getting to spend a little bit of time together in preparation for the Real Life Homesteaders Conference coming up in a couple of months. So, RuthAnn, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Most people already know you from your amazing YouTube channel, but for those who haven't met you, can you share a little bit about yourself?
So, as you said, my name is RuthAnn Zimmerman, and thank you for having me. It's an honor to finally have our schedules line up where we can have some time to chat. So, my husband and I have been married for 26 years, and we live in northern Iowa on 22 acres. We are homesteaders, but that is not what we set out to be. So, my husband and I were raised in the old order Mennonite culture. So a lot of you would have recognized us as Amish. So this has always just been a way of life for us. And it wasn't until we stepped outside of the Mennonite culture and into the modern world and started using social media that we started realizing that our way of life was not very common. And so we started sharing, and the more the questions came in, the more my platforms turned into a little bit of educational with just a lot of everyday happenings. So my husband works full time, and the kids and I are here all day, every day. And so Elvin is here for the heavy lifting, like building fences and things like that. And the kids and I maintain it throughout the year.
That is great. So, one of the things that I've enjoyed is just watching how the interaction is and the realities of it. And sometimes there's the hiccups, like the donkeys and trying to figure out what works with them. And we've gone through that on our homestead of just figuring out how to make everything work with our cows. We have a lot of dairy cows, Ruth Ann. And so our theme with the conference is the reality of homesteading, both joys and challenges. So can you share a little bit of how you're going to kind of highlight that whole theme at the conference of, homesteading is not just this amazing video edited on YouTube, but it's really living it.
I actually really, really love to get to speak about this in person because there's so many things that I don't share with the world. Number one, because there's a lot of people that don't understand, right? So then you get judgment. So I tend to not share the hard things. I might share them after we're through and I'm looking back and I have perspective. Um, but it's one of my favorite things to chat with new homesteaders or somebody that's new to the lifestyle and have them ask me something and I'm like, oh, I have a real life solution to that. I just can't share it on social media. So I'm happy that you're asking me in person. For example, so my husband grew up on a commercial dairy farm. So up until last year, we didn't calf share with our cows. We separated them at birth because that is all that we knew. So last year we started calf sharing. This year, for the first time, we have a purebred Jersey calf on the ground, right?
Ooh.
And I didn't know that it's a Jersey trait and that these calves just hide for the first like 3 to 6 days. They are just hiding like fawns, right? And we are walking all over the property, and this calf doesn't care where its mama is. The mama doesn't care where the calf is, and it's just hiding. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a dumb calf. There's something wrong with this calf. And so eventually, like by day two, I got on the internet and I'm like, you know what? This calf is just, we can't, it just hides. So a lot of people came forth and they were like, oh, that's a Jersey thing. They'll hide for 6 to 8 hours and you just don't know where they are. They'll come when they're hungry. However, and through my frustration, I wouldn't have shared because people that don't understand calving and calf sharing or livestock or cows, and their habits would have made me feel a whole lot worse. I was already frustrated by their lack of compassion and by acknowledging their own ignorance, if I may say so. And they would have been like, well, you should have brought her up to the barn, or like, you better go out and search, even though we were like, well, she'll probably come out when she's anyway. And when another example is like, how do you keep rabbits from your garden? I cannot tell the internet, you know, that, those are types of things, and you got to take drastic measures, to save your food. And yeah, there's a lot of unrealistic expectations because those of us that are truly living the lifestyle cannot show everything, and we tend to not show all the negative because nobody wants to see that.
Yes, I still remember the conversation I had with Joel Salatin. And he was like, when you do a farm tour, you hide your sick animals, you hide your broken equipment because your customers do not want to see it. But when you get into homesteading, you're not prepared that you're going to have, hiccups along the way and have to figure all of these things out. And so that's one of the things that I'm really excited that we can be genuine and real at the conference and help people, whether they've been homesteading for 20 hours and they're just like, okay, we went to Tractor Supply and we came home with 30 chicks. We don't know what in the world we're doing. Or they've been doing it for 30 years, because no matter how long we've been doing it, we can keep learning things. I mean, like just the Jersey calf. And we've learned some tricks over the last year. I think we had four calves in our basement this winter. We now have an IBC tote set up where we bring the calves in and have like a whole system for our Ohio winters, because we have all Jerseys, RuthAnn. So they're a little wimpy when it comes to winter weather. And it
I
was a
believe it.
whole learning experience for us.
I
But
would so this week we had one day where it was mid to upper 80s, and that's why I wanted to find this calf, because it didn't seem to have enough brains to get out of the hot sun, right? And so I was like, okay, I gotta go find this because the sun is pretty hot and this is a newborn calf. It's gonna lay out there and dehydrate. So I was aware that the calf didn't seem to have a will to live, and I can't imagine having it born when it's 0 degrees outside. I would have probably ended up bringing it to the house too.
oh, so you've got some really interesting topics for the conference. Real life homesteading, not the social media version, eating seasonally and regionally, homesteading for the right reasons. What can folks that are thinking about attending the conference kind of like give them a tiny nutshell of like tantalizing them? What can they kind of expect to hear besides what we've already kind of shared with them?
So real life homesteading, things that I see on the internet, and I'm not trying to be self-righteous when I say my husband and I were raised in this lifestyle. We know that when you get 70 baby chicks, it is a very realistic expectation to expect to lose 5 or 10, right? It's a good year when you don't lose any when they're babies. And but so people don't know that because I don't share a lot of that. And so then the other thing is like measures that we take to protect our property. um the fact that I don't dump the milk out. If one fly lands in the milk when I'm milking, it's fine. All of those things that the internet tends to sanitize. So I
Mhm.
plan to bring the unsanitized version of homesteading so that people can go home with very realistic expectations and not feel like a failure when the same thing happens to them that happens to people that have lived a lifestyle. And it doesn't always mean you did something wrong. It almost always means you have something that you can learn. And then eating seasonally and regionally is one of my favorite current presentations that I do, because I feel like Americans as a whole have gotten to the point where they think they need to have access to all foods at all times. And one of the things that all successful long term homesteaders have in common is they have simplified their lifestyle, starting with simplifying their diet. And they're not taking the modern diet and trying to replace everything that they can buy at the grocery store with homegrown or made from scratch. They're just simplifying their diet to reflect what is most available to them throughout each season. And the feedback that I've gotten from this presentation is that it changes people's mindset on how they think about their pantry and what they're growing. And so that's my goal with that presentation, is to help people simplify their diet, so that they can be long-term homesteaders. And then remind me, what is my last topic?
Homesteading for the right reasons.
Oh, this is a good one too. Homesteading for the right reasons. This one was inspired by a popular social media family that left the farm because they felt like it was robbing their children of opportunities to participate in sports and all of those things, because they were so busy on the farm. And so part of this was like our own realization that all the relationships that we have here on the homestead actually are built when we work and play together on the homestead. The homestead is not a distraction from everyday life or from the relationships and opportunities that we have as a family. The homestead is the place where we can build relationships and give our children opportunity to develop and grow character and under our own tutelage or our own teachings. And so in this presentation, I help families understand how and where relationships can be built while you're gardening or raising animals or butchering chickens, in all of that.
Absolutely. And that is just such a joy. We have a 9-year-old daughter, and to see her learning hands-on and interacting and to build those relationships. So it's just a part of your life, and that's what it becomes. Is it's not that you're doing homesteading. I people say, "Oh, you homestead." And I'm like, "Oh, it's life. We're just
Yeah,
doing life." And
yeah.
so who should attend? Who would really benefit from coming to the conference?
Oh, that's a good question. I love to make new friends, so I hope a lot of people come so I can meet a lot of new friends. I would say probably my presentations are for those that have been homesteading for 5 to 10 years and are ready to take it to the next level and dive deeper. And also the very beginners. I think my presentations also have a lot of inspiration for those that are either just beginning or thinking of diving into the lifestyle.
Yes, because some people I think would get a lot less discouraged if they heard this very early on into the journey. And then there are those that are starting to experience burnout that really just need that whole refreshing and everything. So, what encouragement to those attending or thinking of attending would you like to leave with folks of, they're listening to this, they're excited, and they're kind of thinking about joining us. What is those last words of encouragement would you like to share with them?
I think one of the biggest tricks that the enemy uses to discourage us is to make us feel isolated. And when we're isolated, we are easily discouraged and distracted. And one of the biggest things that even I get from attending conferences like this is to visit with and rub shoulders with people that are experiencing exactly the same thing that I am. And it will give you, like, interacting with other attendees and the speakers will give you the inspiration and the encouragement that you need for to make it through the next 2 to 3 years, because you'll know we're all out there doing the same thing, and we're just not all gathering for potluck every Sunday and sharing it. But it is very encouraging and it's inspiring to see the amount of effort that other people have put in and how far they've come. And it makes you feel like, I can do this. I'm not alone. I can do this. If other people can do this, so can I.
Absolutely. So we help a lot of people listening to this video join us September 17th and 18th, Real Life Homesteaders. Visit our website, reallifehomesteaders.com. And Ruth Ann's going to be our featured speaker. And then we're surrounding her with local people who are homesteading to give you that building of community and resources and education. And then the signups are coming from all around this area. So the people attending are also going to be connections and resources, because even if they're not speaking, they've got a lot of education, information, and experience to bring to the table. So we're looking forward to seeing many of you at the conference, and thank you for joining us today.